Hi, I'm David McDonald. I teach music theory, composition, and technology at Wichita State University. And today I'm going to show you a little bit about the technology that I'm using to teach my courses online this semester. First, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how this all looks from the student's perspective, and then I'll come back to this camera and show you a little bit about how I'm getting all of this stuff put together.
So what you're looking at now is the main camera. This is what the students see in Zoom most of the time. Sometimes I will add a piano keyboard like this, and this piano keyboard is live. So if I play something on it, not only will students hear it, they'll also see it light up on the screen below. So the next thing that I might want to show is if I want to work on a blank staff on a whiteboard, I can show them that. So this is the blank staff, and this is similarly live, so I can write on this, do whatever I need to do. I can be in a box here. I can show, instead of myself in the corner here, I can switch over to a keyboard if I wanted to show something that I'm demonstrating on the staff on the keyboard. And I can also show handouts this way, so I can show a score example that I can mark up in real time again, or I can show some other kind of handout that I'm using in class. And so all of this stuff is running on my iPad. I'll show you that in a minute. Using this same system, I can also show something in a web browser. So if I need to show them where we use Blackboard, if I want to show them the Blackboard course, I can do that. Similarly, I can show them any other application on my computer. Sometimes I show Sibelius or Dorico or something like that, especially when I'm working with composition students. I can also, as you've heard, play audio from the keyboard. I can also play audio from any applications. The application that I use most of the time is Spotify. Oftentimes before class, I'll be playing some music and I'll put a little thing over my shoulder of the music that's playing as students are coming in. So that's all things that they can hear, and they can also see what it is and maybe talk about it. I don't know, maybe they're wanting to engage in that way. I try not to have the music too loud while we're doing that so that people can talk over it if they want to. So anyway, yeah, this is kind of just a broad overview of what this all looks like from the student's perspective. Now, let's flip it around again, and I will share with you a little bit of the technology that I am using to make this work. So, back to the camera over here. So, you can see over here, I'm using an application. This is called Open Broadcaster in the top left corner. So Open Broadcaster Software, or OBS, which is a free open source application for web streaming. It can send video to Zoom, and I can switch between any of the webcams that, or any webcams that I have connected. I have just the one really, as well as any application windows, and I can mix them together, as you can see as well. So that's what you were seeing when you saw the staff and the handout with my picture there as well. So that's Open Broadcasting Software. The application that's showing the piano keyboard down here, this is another free application called VMPK, Virtual MIDI Piano Keyboard. And that lights up as I play things on the hardware keyboard that I have here. So for virtual whiteboard and handouts, I'm using my iPad. So this is my iPad. You can see the same scribble here that you just saw on the screen here on the iPad. So that's an app called GoodNotes on the iPad, and I AirPlay that, so kind of beam the picture of that to my Mac, and I use an application on the Mac called AirServer, which receives that picture and makes it available to OBS so that I can switch to that and show it on the screen.
And then it's kind of all of the important stuff that you might need to know about how I'm doing the picture. The last thing that might be important to note is how I'm doing the audio. So I use, lastly, an app on my Mac called Loopback, which is from a company called Rogue Amoeba. And Loopback is an app that lets you kind of draw virtual audio cables to connect the inputs and outputs of apps to one another. And so I can grab the audio output from a bunch of different applications, and I importantly can choose applications that don't get sent, that don't have their audio sent to Zoom. But I can grab all the applications that I want, and I can mix the levels, so I can have some of them louder or softer in the mix, and then send just one single audio feed to Zoom. So there are certainly ways to do a lot of these things without these external tools. In Zoom, you can of course do a screen capture. You can even have it capture the audio with that as well. But this gives me a lot more control over the way the video and the audio work together in the final presentation. The last piece that kind of you might be interested in seeing is how I was making all of these switches in OBS very quickly without really looking at the screen. And that is this last bit of technology that is down here. This is a Stream Deck. This particular one is a Stream Deck XL. And it's a series of buttons that are all configurable. So you can set these to do whatever you want in your setup. So I have these. So this one grabs just my face. This one grabs my face with the piano keyboard. So you can see that's what's going on here in OBS. This one grabs my iPad, and this one grabs Chrome. All of these different things, they're all controllable here, so I can quickly switch between all of these things without having to look down or fiddle around with the software too much. That is also the only piece of this setup that I have purchased. I'm a nerd and have been doing stuff with this gear and software for a long time, so I know this is a little bit complicated, and some of it might even seem a little bit costly. But in general, this is stuff that I already owned before anybody went online. The only new thing I picked up is the Stream Deck. And it also might seem a little complicated. That's totally reasonable. And frankly, it is a little bit complicated to set up the first time, but it's relatively stable once you get it set up. So I haven't had to mess with it much since I got it set up. And it's a thing that I use every single day, many times a day, for every course meeting, for every composition lesson, for collaboration meetings with other artists, and for all kinds of things like that. And I even use it for recording asynchronous materials for my classes, so that I don't have to spend as much time editing different things in later. I can do all of the switching and all of the writing in real time and kind of do it in one go and post that to YouTube or whatever platform for asynchronous material as well. So anyway, that is my setup and all the technology that I'm using to teach my classes here at Wichita State.